Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to GST's, that's Growth Stimulus Training's YQMA, episode number 54 today. Today's episode is brought to you by Braden Gracie, who is really wondering about the effectiveness or the necessity of casein protein as a pre-bed meal. Now, Braden is a longtime GST user, and he came to me with this question yesterday. I told him I would get to it in video format, so here it is, Braden. This video is all for you. Now, casein protein is marketed and commonly known as a slow digesting protein. Now, the reason that it's so popular and easy to market as a pre-bed meal is because the producers of it, they would like you to believe that you need casein protein pre-bed so you can remain anabolic all night long. You want to have that steady stream of amino acids funneling into your bloodstream and keeping your muscles anabolic. The company would definitely want you to feel like if you didn't have their casein, their particular slow digesting protein, that you would go catabolic, which is terrible, and you would lose muscle. Now, the truth is that while casein protein is actually a slower digesting protein than whey protein, studies have shown that casein protein digests around 6 grams per hour, whereas whey protein digests around 8 to 10 grams per hour. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that these studies are done generally on fasted individuals and generally on individuals that are strictly or solely consuming the protein, meaning that they're not eating that protein with fats or carbs during the studies. Now, this makes a difference, and I'm going to get into it later. Casein is a slower digesting protein than whey, but it's not the slowest digesting protein out there, and that's also something that is important to note. It's basically a little bit of a fun fact. In studies, soy protein, milk protein, egg protein, raw and cooked, have both been shown, or actually have all been shown, to digest slower than casein protein. Now, is casein protein necessary pre-bed to keep your muscles anabolic all night long until you wake up? The short answer is no, it's not necessary. Now, when you combine any protein source with fats and carbs, basically just other foods, the digestion rate of that protein alone changes dramatically. And what generally happens is you basically end up with a wash when it comes to protein digestion rates when different protein sources are consumed with fats and or carbohydrates. And so what that means is that since you're not going to just have a casein protein shake before bed or just a whey protein shake before bed, you're going to have those shakes with other foods. The digestion rate is not really anything that you have to worry about. And that's one reason why, Braden, you don't actually need casein protein before bed. I mean, really, you don't need casein protein ever because, one, it takes a lot longer than you think for your muscles to actually go catabolic and start breaking down. This isn't going to happen over the course of one night's time. And so the topic or the marketing scheme that the casein protein producer is using, that your muscles are going to go catabolic if you don't take a slow digesting protein source at night, that's really false. It's just a marketing trick. And the other is when you consume casein protein with other foods, fats and carb sources, its digestion rate changes. It's not that studied 6 grams per hour. Things change, they slow down a little bit just because you are digesting not just that protein source, you're digesting the fats and the carbs that you consumed with that protein source. And like I said, whey protein versus casein protein in the presence of other foods, their digestion rates basically end up a wash. It's really just a whole lot of mental masturbation if you're going to start to worry about the small and minute differences between different protein sources when consumed with other foods. That's the big deal there, when consumed with other foods. There's two great reasons to prove my point that casein protein is not necessary pre-bed, and really it's not necessary at any meal at any point in time. From what I've heard, because I've actually never bought a container of casein protein, it's never appealed to me, and I've always known that it was never needed, so I've actually never bought it in my entire training career. But I've been told by many people that casein protein just really tastes like garbage. It's not very pleasurable to eat. So what I would recommend, if you wanted to get an actual whole food casein protein source going before bed, go with cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is going to be tastier, especially when it's coupled with your favorite toppings. Some people do tomatoes on it, some people do seasoned salt. I like to do different kinds of berries, different kinds of fruit with my cottage cheese, and I will also almost always mix in Greek yogurt or regular yogurt with my cottage cheese. It really gives it a great flavoring. It adds protein, it adds carbs, especially if you're using regular yogurt versus Greek yogurt. And so there's actually whole food options that you can make or that you can use to eliminate the need for poor tasting casein protein powder that's probably overpriced, and it actually is never necessary. So Braden Gracie, there was a lot of info about casein protein in this video for you. I hopefully answered your question. I believe I did. I believe I answered it real well, and I believe that you won't have any more questions about casein protein. So if anybody else has questions on the topic of casein protein, feel free to email me, ryan@growthstimuloustraining.com. Message me on Facebook under Ryan Smith Miller, which is my full name, or you can simply comment on this YouTube video below. Now, I gotta tell you, I am getting a little bit cold right now. I'm actually on the front porch. It might look like I'm outside, but I'm on our new front porch. It's an enclosed porch, but it's also probably about 15 degrees outside right now, and so it is pretty cool out here, but I wanted to check out the lighting as a new location, just get some cool natural lighting going on. And I also wanted to see if you can hear the traffic driving by, because we actually live right on Main Street right now, and so there's a lot of life out there. And what you can't see is that I'm actually facing Main Street with my phone mounted on a clear window. And so what it looks like is I'm standing on my front porch facing out to Main Street talking to myself. And so if I do these YQMA videos on a regular basis out here, especially during the summertime, which I do plan to do, I will probably become known as the crazy guy that stands in front of his window on Main Street and talks to himself. But that's okay with me. So I think it's time for me to sign off. Enough casein talk today. And as always, I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday afternoon. Feel free to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already for daily knowledge from my brain to yours. And I appreciate the views.